The Forgotten Rescue. Part 2. New Family. Old Wounds. Chapter 1. 6 months later. The morning sun filters through silk curtains in Onyinya's new bedroom. Not the housekeeper's quarters anymore, but the master suite she now shares with Dohan. She wakes to find his side of the bed, empty but still warm. The indent of his body a ghost, on expensive sheets. 6 months. Half a year since she stopped being the housekeeper and became something she still struggles to name. Girlfriend feels too casual for a relationship forged in blood and black water. Fiancé is premature. He hasn't asked, though she catches him looking at ring websites when he thinks she's asleep. Partner. That's what they are. Partners in raising Hanul. Partners in healing from trauma. Partners in building something neither of them fully understands yet. She finds them in the kitchen. Dohan cooking breakfast in a fitted t-shirt and pajama pants, hair still messy from sleep, while Hanul sits on the counter, narrating a story about his new school. The domesticity of it steals her breath. This cold, controlled man, who once left her bleeding, now makes pancakes shaped like butterflies, because it makes his son laugh. You're staring, Dohan says without turning around, but she can hear the smile in his voice. Just admiring the view. He glances over his shoulder, eyes dark with heat that makes her skin flush. Keep looking at me like that, and Hanul's going to school without breakfast. Appa's being gross again, Hanul announces cheerfully. My teacher says, when adults look at each other like that, it means they're in love. Your teacher is very observant, Onyinye says, moving to press a kiss to Hanul's forehead before stealing a piece of bacon from the plate. And right. Dohan sets down the spatula, crosses to her in 3 long strides, and kisses her properly, deep and claiming and full of promises that make her toes curl. When they break apart, she's breathless. Good morning, he murmurs against her lips. It is now. The moment shatters when his phone rings, the specific ringtone that means business emergency. His expression shutters immediately, all warmth replaced by the CEO mask she's learned to recognize. What is it? She asks as he checks the screen. My mother. 2 words that carry the weight of incoming disaster. She's flying in from Busan. Tonight. She wants to have dinner. Onyinya's stomach drops. In 6 months, Dohan has mentioned his mother exactly 3 times, each time with the tone of someone discussing an upcoming root canal. His father died when he was young. His mother remarried into old money and has spent the decades since reminding Dohan that his self-made billions will never equal true Yangban status. You haven't told her about me, have you? The guilty silence is answer enough. Dohan, I was waiting for the right time. 6 months isn't long enough to find the right time. Her voice rises despite her attempt at control. What exactly have you been telling her when she asks about your life? That I'm focused on Hanul and work. That I'm not interested in remarrying. That... He stops, running a hand through his hair in frustration. That I need more time before introducing anyone new to the family. I live here. I share your bed. I'm raising your son. Each sentence lands like a separate accusation. At what point was I going to graduate from dirty secret to actual relationship? You're not a secret. Then what am I? The question hangs between them, sharp and dangerous. Hanul has gone very quiet, his eyes darting between them, with the practiced wariness of a child who knows when adults are about to fight. Dohan's jaw tightens. You're the woman I love, the woman I want to spend my life with. But my mother is complicated. She's traditional, conservative. She barely accepted my wife, and she was Korean with the right family connections. You're black, Onyinye finishes flatly. Say it. I'm black, and you're afraid of what your mother will think. I'm afraid of what she'll say to you, he corrects, voice low and intense. I'm afraid she'll use every cruel word in her arsenal to drive you away, and I'm afraid it'll work because I haven't given you enough reasons to stay through that kind of attack. The honesty disarms her completely. Then, give me reasons, she says quietly, starting with not hiding me when she arrives tonight. Chapter 2. The Matriarch. Choi Min-hee arrives exactly on time because punctuality is power, and she's never relinquished an ounce of power in her 73 years. She sweeps into the estate in a hanbok that costs more than most people's cars, her silver hair perfectly styled, her expression carved from ice that makes her son's coldest mask look warm by comparison. Onyinye stands beside Dohan in the foyer, wearing the elegant dress he bought her last week. Black silk that skims her curves, gold jewelry that gleams against her dark skin. She chose her armor carefully. If she's going to battle, she'll look stunning while doing it. Minhee's eyes slide over her son, land on Hanul with brief warmth, then fix on Onyinye with the precision of a surgeon selecting where to make the first cut. Nuguseo? Who are you? The question is in Korean, deliberately excluding Onyinye from the conversation. It's a power play. Minhee knows she speaks Korean. Dohan would have mentioned it. She's testing whether Onyinye will let herself be erased. 안녕하세요, 에오메오님. 저는 Onyinye 아다올리사입니다. Hello, mother-in-law. I'm Onyinye Adaolisa. The Korean is carefully pronounced, respectful, claiming space in the language, even as the term 에오메오님 makes Minhee's eye twitch. Mother-in-law, presumptuous, deliberate. Dohana! Minhee's attention snaps back to her son. A word, in private. Anything you need to say can be said in front of Onyinye, now. They disappear into Dohan's study, and the slam of the door echoes through the mansion. Hanul slides his small hand into Onyinye's, squeezing tight. Grandma doesn't like change, he whispers. She didn't like it when Appa bought a new car. She really won't like you replacing Ioma. I'm not replacing your mother, sweet boy. No one could ever do that. I'm just adding to your family, making it bigger. I like our family bigger. He leans against her side. Don't let Grandma make you leave. Please. Through the study walls, raised voices filter through. Minhee's sharp and cutting, Dohan's controlled but dangerous. Onyinye catches fragments. Chemyon, reputation. Gamun, family honor. My Kyoseo? Have you lost your mind? When they emerge 20 minutes later, Dohan's expression is carved from granite, and Minhee's smile is all teeth and no warmth. Miss Adaolisa, she says in perfect English, my son tells me you've been living here for 6 months as his employee. As his partner, Onyinye corrects gently, and Hanul's guardian. How convenient that the housekeeper has elevated her position so dramatically. One might almost call it calculated. The insult lands exactly as intended, suggesting gold digging, manipulation, opportunism. Dohan moves closer to Onyinye, his body language protective, but she stops him with a hand on his arm. One might, she agrees pleasantly, if one didn't know that I nearly died, saving your grandson from drowning. That I fought off armed intruders to protect him. That I chose this family when I could have walked away a dozen times. She meets Minhee's cold eyes with her own steady gaze. I didn't pursue your son. I saved his child. Everything else grew from that. How noble. Minhee's tone could freeze blood. Tell me, Miss Adao-Lisa, what do you know about running a household of this status? Managing staff, hosting events for business associates, operating in Korean high society? Nothing, Onyinye admits, but I can learn. Can you learn to be Korean? To erase your foreignness? To give my son children who won't face discrimination because of their mixed heritage? Each question is a knife expertly placed. Can you learn to be what this family needs instead of what you are? The silence that follows is absolute. Then Do-han speaks, and his voice is colder than his mother's has ever been. Get out, Minhee blinks. Excuse me. I said get out of my house, now, before I say things we can't take back. You would choose this woman, this foreigner, over your own mother? I would choose basic human decency over cruelty. I would choose the woman who loves my son over the grandmother who just suggested he's less than because of his heritage. His hand finds Onyinye's, fingers threading through hers with unmistakable possession. And yes, I would choose her over you every single time. Minhee's composure finally cracks. If you marry her, you're no son of mine. Then I guess you don't have a son anymore. The slap comes so fast that Onyinye barely sees it, Minhee's palm connecting with Do-han's cheek, with enough force to snap his head to the side. The sound echoes through the foyer like a gunshot. Hanul gasps. Onyinye moves instinctively, putting herself between Do-han and his mother, her body language protective and absolutely done with this woman's cruelty. Leave, she says quietly. You've caused enough damage for one night. Minhee's eyes blaze with rage, and something else. Pain, maybe. Or the realization that she's just severed the relationship irrevocably. This isn't over. Yes, Do-han says, his cheek bearing the red imprint of his mother's hand. It is. They watch her leave in suffocating silence. The door closes, the car pulls away, and then Do-han is pulling Onyinye into his arms with desperate strength, burying his face in her neck, breathing her in like she's oxygen, and he's drowning. I'm sorry, he whispers against her skin. I'm so sorry you had to hear that. Don't apologize for her cruelty. She cups his face, gentle fingers tracing the mark his mother left. You chose us. That's all that matters. She's right about one thing. His eyes search hers with painful intensity. You'll face discrimination, social exile. My business associates' wives will freeze you out. Society events will become battlegrounds. And any children we have... His voice breaks. They'll face challenges I can't protect them from. Then we'll face them together. She kisses him softly, carefully, pouring everything she feels into the gentle press of lips. I didn't jump into black water because it was easy or safe. I jumped because it was right. This is right. We are right. Above them, Hanul's voice drifts down from where he's watching on the stairs. Are you going to marry Onyinye now, Appa? Because that fight seemed like the kind that requires a really big apology, and rings are the best apology. Despite everything, they laugh. Chapter 3. Claiming each other. That night, after Hanul is asleep, Do-han finds Onyinye on their bedroom balcony, staring at Seoul's glittering skyline. She's still wearing the black silk dress, but she's taken down her hair, and it frames her face in soft coils. She's never looked more beautiful, or more unreachable. Talk to me, he says quietly, coming to stand behind her. Tell me what you're thinking. I'm thinking about my mother. The admission surprises them both. She fell in love with my father, even though his family said she wasn't good enough, too poor, too uneducated, from the wrong village. They eloped, and his family disowned him for 3 years. What changed? I was born. Turns out even the most stubborn families can't resist a grandchild. Her smile is bittersweet. She used to say that love without sacrifice isn't real love, that if someone isn't willing to fight for you, they don't deserve you. She was right. Your mother will never accept me, Do-han. You know that. I know. He wraps his arms around her from behind, pulling her back against his chest. And I've made my peace with it. Minhee lost her chance to be part of this family when she suggested our children would be less than, when she tried to make you small, when she forced me to choose. Choosing me means losing her forever. Losing you would mean losing everything that matters. His lips find her neck, pressing kisses along the column of her throat that make her breath catch. I've spent my entire life being what she wanted. The perfect son, the perfect businessman, the perfect Korean heir. But none of it made me happy. You make me happy. Hanul makes me happy. This messy, complicated, beautiful family we're building makes me happy. She turns in his arms, and the look in her eyes makes his heart stutter. Show me. Show you what? Show me I'm worth the sacrifice. Show me you choose me. Show me. Her voice drops to something raw and desperate. Show me I'm not alone in this. He kisses her, like he's trying to prove something, deep and claiming, and full of barely controlled need. His hands slide into her hair, angling her head to deepen the kiss, and she makes a sound low in her throat that goes straight to his core. Inside, he growls against her lips. Now, before I take you, right here on the balcony, where anyone could see. They barely make it to the bedroom. He's pulling down the zipper of her dress while she's unbuttoning his shirt, both of them desperate to eliminate barriers. The silk pools at her feet, and he stops, just stops and stares at her like she's art in a museum, something precious and untouchable. Don't look at me like that, she whispers. Like what? Like I might disappear if you blink. You almost did disappear. Twice. His fingers trace the scar on her ribs, the knife wound from the basement that nearly killed her. Every time I see this, I remember how close I came to losing you before I ever really had you. She takes his hand, guides it from the scar to her heart, letting him feel the strong, steady beat beneath his palm. I'm here. I'm real. I'm yours. The last word breaks whatever control he's been maintaining. He lifts her easily, and she wraps her legs around his waist as he carries her to the bed. They fall together onto silk sheets, a tangle of limbs and desperate kisses and whispered promises. I love you, he breathes against her skin, mapping her body with hands and mouth and reverent attention. I love your strength, your courage, the way you love my son like he's yours, the way you jumped into black water without hesitation, the way you stood up to my mother and refused to be made small. Show me, she demands again, arching into his touch. Stop telling me, and show me. So he does. He worships her body with the intensity of a man who's found his religion in the curves and valleys of her skin. He takes his time, learning what makes her gasp, what makes her moan, what makes her dig her nails into his shoulders and beg for more. When he finally enters her, it's slow and deep, and so perfectly right that they both go still, just breathing together, savoring the moment of absolute connection. Mine, he whispers against her lips. Yours, she confirms, rolling her hips in a rhythm that makes him groan. Always yours. They move together, like they're dancing, finding their rhythm, building towards something explosive. She wraps herself around him completely, taking everything he gives and demanding more, meeting his intensity with her own fierce need. When they fall apart together, it's with her name on his lips and his name on hers, and the absolute certainty that whatever challenges they face, they'll face them as one. After, they lie tangled together in the wreckage of expensive sheets, both breathing hard, skin slick with sweat. He traces idle patterns on her back while she presses kisses to his chest, right over his heart. Marry me, he says suddenly. She goes very still. What? Marry me, not because of my mother, not to prove anything to anyone, just because I can't imagine my life without you in it. He tilts her chin up, so she's looking at him. I don't have a ring yet. I was going to plan something elaborate and romantic, but lying here with you, I realize I don't want to wait another day without knowing you're mine forever. Tears slip down her cheeks, and he kisses them away with devastating gentleness. Yes, she whispers. Yes, I'll marry you. He kisses her again, and it turns heated fast. But before they can get lost in each other again, his phone buzzes on the nightstand. He ignores it. It buzzes again and again. You should check that, Onyenya murmurs against his lips. He grabs the phone, ready to silence it completely, then freezes when he sees the caller ID. It's the private investigator I hired to monitor my mother's movements. The warmth drains from the room immediately. He answers, listens, and with each passing second, his expression grows darker. Understood. Keep monitoring. Report any changes immediately. He hangs up and closes his eyes. My mother went straight from here to her lawyer's office. She's contesting my guardianship of Hanul. Chapter 4. The Custody Battle. The law office of Young and Associates occupies 3 floors of a Gangnam high-rise, with views that cost more per square foot than most people earn in a year. Do-han's attorney, Kim Ji-hyun, is a shark in designer heels, who's won custody cases against impossible odds. She spreads documents across the conference table with practiced efficiency. Choi Min-hee is arguing that you're an unfit guardian due to the dangerous environment you've created. 3 months ago, armed intruders broke into your home and kidnapped Hanul. Last week, you introduced an unapproved foreign guardian into his life without court notification. And now you're planning to marry this woman, despite her having no legal background check or approval from family services. Onyenya's stomach churns. Background check? In high-profile custody cases, especially when there's a history of violence, the court requires comprehensive background investigations of anyone in a parental role. Ji-hyun's expression is professionally neutral. Your presence in Hanul's life, while admirable in origin, presents legal complications. She saved my son's life twice, Do-han says, voice deadly quiet, which the court will acknowledge. But they'll also question why you didn't follow proper legal channels to formalize her guardianship role, why you moved her into your home without court approval, why you're now planning to marry her so quickly after your relationship began. Because I love her. Love isn't a legal argument, Mr. Choi. Ji-hyun's tone is patient, but firm. Your mother's attorney will paint this as reckless decision-making, driven by trauma bonding and gratitude, rather than genuine commitment. They'll argue that Hanul needs stability, not a revolving door of parental figures. And they'll use your relationship with Miss Adaolisa as evidence of poor judgment. Onyinye stands abruptly. Then I'll remove myself from the equation. I'll move out. We'll postpone the wedding. Whatever it takes to protect Hanul. That won't work, Jihyun interrupts. Moving out now looks like you're hiding something. Like even you recognize the relationship is inappropriate. It actually strengthens your mother's case, Mr. Choi. The trap is perfect. Stay together and look reckless. Separate and look guilty. There's no winning move. What do we do? Do-han asks. Jihyun's smile is sharp. We go on the offensive. File a countersuit, claiming your mother is using Hanul as leverage to control your life. Document every instance of her emotional abuse, including the incident where she struck you in front of your son. Get character witnesses. And, most importantly, she looks at Onyinye. We prove that you're not just qualified to be in Hanul's life. You're essential. Chapter 5. Building the case. The next 2 weeks are a blur of depositions, interviews, and invasive investigations into every corner of Onyinye's life. Private investigators dig through her past in Nigeria, interview her former employers in Korea, even track down her ex-boyfriend, who abandoned her 6 years ago. They find nothing scandalous, because there's nothing to find. But they do uncover her history, the trauma of her mother's drowning, the years she spent working 3 jobs to survive in Seoul, the quiet heroism of a woman who spent her entire life helping others without recognition or reward. Hanul's therapist, Dr. Lee, provides a detailed report on his progress since Onyinye entered his life. Before her, severe selective mutism, night terrors, anxiety so crippling he couldn't attend school. After her, dramatic improvement in all areas, healthy attachment formation, age-appropriate emotional development. The breakthrough comes from an unexpected source. Mrs. Kang, still recovering from her concussion, appears at the mansion one afternoon with a thick folder. I've been in service to wealthy families for 40 years, she tells Do-han and Onyinye. I've seen good guardians and bad ones. I've seen love and I've seen obligation. And I've never, in 4 decades, seen a woman love a child the way Onyinye loves Hanul. The folder contains meticulously documented observations. Every bedtime story Onyinye read. Every nightmare she soothed. Every scraped knee she bandaged. Every small moment of unconditional love that Mrs. Kang witnessed and recorded, understanding even then that evidence might be needed someday. Why? Onyinye asks, throat tight with emotion. Mrs. Kang's smile is fierce. Because I failed to protect Hanul once when those men invaded our home. I won't fail him again by letting that cold woman take him from the mother he deserves. The court date arrives too soon. They dress carefully. Do-han in his most conservative suit. Onyinye in traditional Korean dress that Jihyun insisted upon. Show them you respect the culture, even if they don't respect you. Hanul, in his school uniform, because having him present demonstrates his comfort with the arrangement. Choi Min-hee arrives with an army of attorneys and an expression that could cut glass. She's brought witnesses, society women who testified to Onyinye's inappropriate behavior at charity events she's never attended, business associates who claim Do-han's judgment has been compromised, even a child psychologist who's never met Hanul, but is willing to theorize about the dangers of attachment to unstable parental figures. It's brutal, systematic, designed to destroy Onyinye's character piece by piece. Then, it's their turn. Dr. Lee takes the stand and calmly dismantles every argument with clinical precision. Hanul's attachment to Miss Adaolisa isn't unhealthy. It's developmentally appropriate and therapeutic. She provides the secure base he needs to heal from trauma. Removing her from his life now would cause significant psychological harm. Mrs. Kang testifies about the basement attack, describing in vivid detail how Onyinye fought armed men to protect Hanul. I've served Choi Min-hee's family for 15 years. I can count on one hand the number of times she's visited her grandson. Meanwhile, Onyinye reads to him every night, helps with homework, teaches him to cook Nigerian food, because she believes he should understand all parts of his heritage. Even Dohan's business associates testify, not the ones Min-hee brought, but the honest ones who watched their CEO transform from cold automaton to engaged father. Whatever Miss Adaolisa is doing, it's working. Dohan is a better leader, a better man, and most importantly, a better father. But the moment that changes everything comes when Hanul himself asks to speak. The judge hesitates. 6 is young for testimony, but Ji-hyun argues that his voice matters in determining his own welfare. They bring him to the stand with a child psychologist present, and he sits there small and brave in his school uniform, eyes fixed on his grandmother. "Do you love your grandmother, Hanul?" the judge asks gently. "I'm supposed to," he answers honestly. "Appa says family is important, but Grandma only visits when she wants something. She didn't come when I was in the hospital after the bad men hurt us. She didn't come to my school play. She doesn't know my favorite color, or that I hate vegetables, or that I have nightmares about drowning. And Miss Adaolisa? Does she know these things?" Onyinye knows everything. His voice strengthens, grows fierce with protective love. "She knows I'm scared of the dark, so she bought me a nightlight shaped like a butterfly. She knows I miss my Yoma, so we talk about her sometimes and look at pictures. She knows exactly how I like my sandwiches cut, and that I need 3 bedtime stories, not 2. And when I have nightmares, she holds me and sings songs in a language I don't understand, but it makes me feel safe anyway." Tears stream down his face now, but he doesn't stop. "Grandma wants to take me away from Appa and Onyinye because she's angry Appa chose love instead of her. But that's mean. Appa's happy now. I'm happy now. Why would she want to make us sad again?" The silence in the courtroom is absolute. Minnie's face has gone pale, and there's something cracking in her expression. Realization, maybe, of how far she's fallen from the grandmother she thought she was. The judge removes her glasses, studying Hanul with an expression that's seen too many children used as weapons in adult wars. "Thank you for your honesty, Hanul. You can step down." As Hanul passes his grandmother's table, he stops, looks up at her with his father's eyes. "I would have loved you if you let me, Grandma. But you only love the idea of me. Onyinye loves the real me. That's the difference." Chapter 6. The Verdict and the Olive Branch. The judge's ruling comes 3 days later. Full custody remains with Dohan. Min-hee's petition is denied with prejudice. And in a move that shocks everyone, the judge issues a statement praising Onyinye's role in Hanul's life, formally recognizing her as a de facto guardian with full legal rights and responsibilities. It's complete victory, total vindication. So why does it feel hollow? That night, Onyinye finds Do-han in his study, staring at a photo of his father. A man he barely remembers, who died when Do-han was 8. "He would have liked you," he says without looking up. "My father? He married my mother against his family's wishes because he loved her. Then he spent 20 years trying to prove that love was enough. Was it? He died thinking it wasn't, died believing he'd failed her by not giving her the social status she craved. His last words to me were, 'Make your mother proud.' And I've spent my entire life trying to do exactly that." His voice cracks. "Until you." She moves to stand behind him, hands on his shoulders, offering silent support. "She called this afternoon," he continues. "Left a voicemail. Didn't apologize. Didn't acknowledge what happened in court. Just said..." He stops, jaw working. "She said my father would be ashamed of me for choosing a foreigner over family honor." The cruelty of it steals Onyinye's breath. "I'm sorry. Don't." He turns to face her. "Don't apologize for her poison. Don't diminish what we have because she can't see its value. Don't let her make you believe for 1 second that loving you is anything except the best decision I've ever made." She cups his face, thumbs brushing away tears he doesn't realize he's shedding. "Then don't let her make you believe that choosing us means you failed her. You gave her every chance to be part of this family. She chose cruelty instead. That's on her, not you." He kisses her with desperate intensity, and it turns heated fast. The kind of frantic coupling born of nearly losing each other, of needing to reaffirm connection through the most primal means possible. They make love on the desk, against the bookshelf, finally on the floor, surrounded by scattered papers and forgotten obligations. After, lying in the wreckage of his perfectly organized office, she says what she's been thinking since the court ruling. We should invite her to the wedding. He goes very still. What? Not because she deserves it, not to prove anything, but because Hanul deserves the chance to have a grandmother who chooses love over pride. And because she traces patterns on his chest, because I don't want our marriage to be built on burned bridges and severed ties. I want it built on forgiveness and second chances, and the kind of grace your mother never showed us. She'll refuse? Probably. But we'll have offered. We'll have taken the high road. And someday, when Hanul asks us if we tried to include his grandmother, we can honestly say yes. He's quiet for a long time then. You're a better person than I am. I'm just a person who knows what it's like to lose a mother. I don't want Hanul to lose his grandmother because of adult pride and stubbornness. They send the invitation the next day, elegant, traditional, respectful. Minhee doesn't respond, doesn't call, doesn't acknowledge receiving it. But 3 days before the wedding, a package arrives. Inside, a traditional ham containing Minhee's own wedding hanbok, altered to fit Onyinye's measurements. No note, no explanation, just the silent offering of a woman who can't quite bring herself to apologize, but is trying, in her own broken way, to build a bridge. Onyinye cries when she sees it. Do-han holds her while she sobs, and they both understand what the gesture means. Not acceptance, not approval, but the smallest crack in Minhee's armor, the beginning of possibility. Chapter 7. The Wedding. They marry in the estate gardens on a perfect spring day, when the cherry blossoms are in full bloom. It's small, just close friends, Do-han's loyal business associates, Mrs. Kang, and the staff who've become family, and Hanul, in a miniature suit, serving as ring-bearer with solemn importance. Minhee's chair sits empty in the front row, and Onyinye tries not to let it hurt. Tries to focus on Do-han, waiting at the altar in traditional Duramagi, eyes locked on her like she's the only thing in the world that matters. The ceremony blends traditions, Nigerian Igbo customs, taught by friends from her community in Seoul, Korean traditions that Do-han's friends guide them through, and modern vows they wrote themselves. I promise to always jump in when you're drowning, Onyinye says, voice steady, despite tears streaming down her face. To fight beside you against whatever threatens our family. To love your son like my own, and to remind you every day that you are worth loving, that you are enough, exactly as you are. I promise to never leave you bleeding again, Do-han responds, his own voice thick with emotion. To choose you over comfort, over convention, over everything except our son's well-being. To learn to cook Nigerian food, even though I'll probably burn it. And to spend the rest of my life proving that you're not just worth the sacrifice, you're worth everything. They exchange rings, simple gold bands engraved with Igbo and Korean phrases meaning strength in unity. And when the officiant pronounces them married, Do-han kisses her like he's claiming his future, like he's erasing every doubt, like he's saying fuck you to everyone who said this moment wouldn't come. The reception is winding down, the sun setting in brilliant oranges and pinks, when a car pulls up to the estate gates. Everyone turns, conversation dying as Choi Min-hee emerges from the vehicle. She's not wearing the hanbok she sent. That would be too much, too soon. But she's here. She's come. And that's everything. She walks slowly toward where Do-han and Onyinye stand frozen by the dessert table, Hanul between them. She stops 3 feet away, maintaining careful distance, and for a long moment nobody speaks. Then, you look beautiful, Onyinye. The hanbok fits you well. It's not an apology, not an acceptance speech, just a simple acknowledgement of effort given and received. Thank you for sending it. Onyinye responds, voice gentle. It means more than you know. Minhee's eyes drift to Hanul, who's watching her with cautious hope. I heard what you said in court, about loving me if I let you. I meant it, Grandma. I know you did. She crouches down to his level, and there are tears on her face now. I've been a terrible grandmother. Worried more about what people thought than what you needed. Your Appa chose well. Onyinye is... She's good for both of you. It's as close to a blessing as she can manage. And it's enough. There's cake left, Hanul offers hopefully. And Onyinye's friend made chin-chin that's really good. Will you stay? Minhee looks at Do-han, asking silent permission. He nods, barely perceptible, and some of the tension leaves her shoulders. I'd like that very much. They don't resolve everything that night. Minhee still makes subtle comments that sting. She still doesn't fully understand why her son chose this path. But she stays for cake and Nigerian fried dough and watches Do-han and Onyinye's first dance with an expression that's gradually thawing from ice to something almost warm. When she leaves, she hugs Hanul, shakes Onyinye's hand, progress, not perfection, and tells Do-han quietly, your father would be proud of you. Not for the business or the money, but for this, for choosing love even when it was hard. He did the same for me, and I never properly thanked him for it. It's the closest she'll come to apologizing, and it's more than enough. Chapter 8. The Honeymoon. They honeymoon in Nigeria because Onyinye wants to show them where she comes from, wants Hanul to understand all the parts of his heritage, not just Korean, but the Nigerian roots that are now woven into his family too. Enugu welcomes them with warm rain and warmer smiles. Onyinye's extended family, cousins and aunts and uncles who lost contact when she moved to Korea, embrace them without hesitation. No judgment about Dohan being foreign, no questions about how they met. Just joy that their Onyinye has found love and family. They visit her mother's grave together. Dohan, Onyinye, and Hanul, laying flowers on the simple headstone while Onyinye tells her mother about the family she's built from the ashes of grief. She would have loved you, Onyinye tells Dohan later, watching Hanul play with local children in a language he doesn't speak, but somehow manages to communicate through anyway. She always said the measure of a man isn't his wealth or status. It's how he treats people who can do nothing for him. And how do I measure up? You jumped into this relationship without knowing if it would work. You defended me against your mother. You let me teach Hanul about my culture without feeling threatened. She turns to face him. You measure up just fine. He pulls her close, pressing kisses to her temple, her cheek, her lips. I want to give you more children. Brothers and sisters for Hanul, a family as big and loud and loving as this one. The confession makes her breath catch. You want more kids? I want everything with you. The messy, chaotic, beautiful everything. That night, in the simple guest room of her cousin's house, they make love with the windows open to the sound of tropical rain. The same rain she told Hanul about months ago, when he was a silent, traumatized child. The rain that washes things clean and promises new beginnings. They're careful because the walls are thin and family is close. But there's something profound about joining together in the place where she was born, creating the possibility of new life in the soil that grew her. I love you, she whispers against his skin as they move together in the darkness. I love you. I love you. I love you. Show me, he demands, echoing her words from months ago. Show me I'm worth staying for. So she does. She loves him with her body and her words and her absolute commitment to this fragile, beautiful thing they've built together. Chapter 9. Coming Home. They return to Seoul 3 weeks later, tanned and happy and more connected than ever. The estate has been transformed. Min-hee, in an unprecedented gesture, has sent workers to add a wing specifically for Onyinye, a library filled with Nigerian literature, a kitchen designed for cooking both Korean and Nigerian cuisine, a meditation room with windows facing east toward Nigeria, west toward Korea. It's not perfect. It's not unconditional acceptance, but it's trying, and trying is enough. Life settles into a new rhythm. Onyinye starts a charity foundation, helping immigrant women in Seoul navigate the city's complexities, using her own experiences to smooth the path for others. Dohan restructures his company to focus more on ethical practices, his near loss of Hanul, crystallizing what actually matters in business. And Hanul thrives. His therapist eventually discharges him from treatment. Not because he's fixed, but because he's developed healthy coping mechanisms and secure attachments. He starts calling Onyinye Eoma, Mom, without prompting. And the first time he does, she cries for an hour. 6 months after the wedding, Onyinye confirms what she's suspected for weeks. She's pregnant. She tells Dohan by making jollof rice, the Nigerian dish she promised to teach him to cook, and hiding the positive pregnancy test in the serving spoon. He finds it while dishing food for Hanul, and the spoon clatters to the table as the realization hits. We're having a baby, she confirms, laughing through happy tears as he sweeps her into his arms and spins her around the kitchen. Hanul, picking up the test with curiosity, asks, "What's this?" "You're going to be a big brother," Dohan tells him, voice choked with emotion. The sound Hanul makes is pure joy. He launches himself at both of them, and they collapse together in a pile of limbs and laughter and tears, a family growing in the most beautiful way possible. It's Chapter 10, Full Circle. 9 months later, Onyinye gives birth to twins, a boy and a girl, during a spring rainstorm that mirrors the day she jumped into black water to save a drowning child. The full circle poetry isn't lost on anyone. They name the boy Chukwemeka, God has done well, and the girl Minji, clever and beautiful. Nigerian and Korean, two cultures woven into two tiny humans who will grow up knowing they're made of strength from both sides. Minhee comes to the hospital the day after the birth. She doesn't cry, but her eyes are suspiciously bright as she holds her grandchildren for the first time. "They're perfect," she whispers. "Both of them. Perfect." "They're ours," Onyinye corrects gently. "Yours too, if you want them to be." Minhee's hand tightens fractionally on baby Minji's blanket. "I would like that very much." Hanul, meeting his siblings with the reverent awe of a 7-year-old, announces to the entire hospital room, "I'm going to teach them everything, Korean and Nigerian words. How to swim so they don't drown, how to make Onyinye's chin-chin, and I'm going to tell them about the day Onyinye saved me, and how that's when our family really started." "That's a beautiful story," Mrs. Kang says from her position by the door. Her role evolved from housekeeper to beloved family member. "Make sure you tell them the true version, not the fairy tale where everything was easy." "The true version is better," Hanul insists, "because in the true version, people fight and mess up and get scared, but they choose each other anyway. That's real love. Onyinye taught me that." Dohan pulls his son close, pressing a kiss to his hair while his other hand finds Onyinye's across the hospital bed where she holds their newborn daughter. "Your Onyinye is a very wise woman." "I just jumped in the water," Onyinye says softly, looking at the family she's built from that single moment of instinct. "I saw someone drowning, and I jumped in." "And changed all our lives forever," Dohan completes. He leans over their children to kiss her, soft and reverent and full of promises. "Thank you for jumping. Thank you for staying. Thank you for showing me that love is worth fighting for." Outside, the rain continues to fall, washing the city clean, promising new beginnings, reminding them all that sometimes the scariest leaps of faith lead to the most beautiful landings. Onyinye looks at her family, her husband, who chose her over everything, her son, who taught her that healing is possible, her mother-in-law, who's learning to love despite decades of emotional armor, her newborn twins, who represent hope and future, and the blending of two worlds into something entirely new. She thinks about her mother, drowned in a river while people watched. She thinks about the child she saved from black water while a man stood paralyzed by fear. She thinks about how trauma can destroy you or transform you, And the choice is sometimes just about who you let in. When you're drowning, "I love you," she whispers to all of them. "I love you. I love you. I love you." And they love her back, imperfectly, fiercely, completely, because that's what family does. They jump in when you're drowning. They fight beside you against the monsters. They choose you, again and again, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Epilogue. 2 years later, the charity foundation Onyinye started has expanded to 3 cities, helping hundreds of immigrant women find their footing in Korea. She gives a speech at the Seoul Women's Leadership Conference about jumping into the unknown, and when she finishes, the standing ovation lasts 5 minutes. Dohan, sitting in the front row with 9-year-old Hanul and 2-year-old twins, looks at her like she hung the moon. Later, in the car ride home, he'll tell her about the new ethical sourcing initiative his company is launching, about the children's hospital wing he's funding in her mother's name, about the scholarship program for Nigerian students who want to study in Korea, about all the ways he's trying to be worthy of the woman who jumped into Blackwater and changed his life forever. Minhee babysits the twins once a month now, still uncomfortable with physical affection, still sharp-tongued, but learning slowly to soften. Last week, she told Onyinye, "You've made my son happy in ways I never could. That's a gift." It's not a full apology, but it's acknowledgement, it's growth, it's enough. Hanul, thriving in school and therapy-free for over a year, writes a story for his creative writing class called The Lady Who Jumped. His teacher calls it the most emotionally mature piece she's read from a child his age. When asked about his inspiration, he says simply, "I wrote about my mom, both of them, the one I lost and the one I found." The twins, Chukwemeka and Minji, are learning to walk, to talk in a mix of Korean, English and Igbo, to navigate a world that sees them as different, but is slowly, gradually learning to see them as whole. And Onyinye stands in the garden, where she married Dohan, watching cherry blossoms fall like snow, thinking about the woman she was 3 years ago, alone, adrift, haunted by dreams she couldn't name. That woman jumped into Blackwater for a stranger's child and found her family in the wreckage of fear and flood and desperate courage. This woman, the one she's become, stands in the center of that family and knows with absolute certainty that she's exactly where she's supposed to be. Dohan appears beside her, wrapping his arms around her waist, resting his chin on her shoulder. "What are you thinking about?" "Butterfly wings," she answers, remembering the butterfly Hanul named Hope, and how one small choice can change everything. Jumping in, staying in, choosing this, choosing us. She turns in his arms, cupping his face with gentle hands. "Choosing you, again and again and again." He kisses her under falling cherry blossoms, while their children play nearby, while Mrs. Kang watches from the doorway with approval, while somewhere in Busan, Minhee looks at photos of her grandchildren and allows herself to smile. It's not perfect. It's never perfect, but it's real and messy and absolutely worth fighting for. And when the rain comes, and it always does, they'll jump in together, because that's what family does. That's what love means. That's who they've become. The end. If this ending made you believe in second chances and chosen family, drop a heart in the comments. Tell me which moment hit you hardest. Was it the courtroom scene, the wedding, the twins' birth, or something else entirely. This journey from rescue to redemption to real love proves that sometimes the scariest leaps lead to the most beautiful landings. Subscribe and hit that notification bell, because next week we're exploring a new Afro-Korean story about a woman who becomes a chaebol's fake fiancé, only to discover he's been protecting her from dangerous enemies she never knew existed. Thank you for letting me tell Onyinye, Dohan, Hanul, and their growing family's complete story. You're not just viewers, you're part of this family too. Now go jump into your own adventure. The water might be scary, but the landing is always worth it.